Well, hello and welcome to the Wine and Wisdom Show. Thank you so much for being here. If this is your first time here, welcome. If you are a returning guest, I very much appreciate you spending your Wednesday night with us while we have a little wine together and I get to share some wisdom. But for those of you who are here for the very first time, I thought I'd give you a very quick brief on what this show is all about. It's been an interesting thing during this entire pandemic, how I think one of those silver linings that we talk about that has come out of it, out of all the turmoil and panic and fear and tricky times, is that the appreciation for connection has never been more. And really, this is what this particular show is all about, connecting. I mean, firstly, for me to be able to connect with you who are here tonight, either live or when you are watching it in the replay, which often happens with Facebook Live. So thank you for being here and cheers to you. But secondly, so I can connect you with some really talented, resilient, courageous self-leaders who are in my network that I have been lucky enough to know over the years. And for me to be able to connect them with you, and so that they can share their wisdom with you, because it's these people that I bring onto the show who I really believe are transforming our workplaces and our world. And tonight is no exception. I have an amazing guest, Christie-David. I'm about to bring him up. And if you haven't seen before now, our topic for tonight is all around financial resilience and how to prepare for a brighter future, even in a time when the brightness might be hard to see. And I really wanted to bring Aaron on tonight because he's such an expert in this field. And I think we could all do with a little hope on how our financial future could look. And therefore, that's why he is here tonight. So let me stop talking and bring him up onto the screen. There he is. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, Heidi, how you doing?
I'm so great. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Have you got a little a wine to be sharing with us all tonight?
I've got a cheeky whiskey, if that's all right. Keeping the theme, but it's my poison of choice.
Well, you know what? It is within this theme because it's like wine, whiskey, and wisdom. So that fits very nicely, actually.
The W's, yeah.
The triple W's. Thank you so much for being here. And for everybody who's watching, we'd love to know what your tipple of choice is. Are you having a white wine, a red wine, a whiskey, a rum? We had last show, Ashley was drinking margaritas on a Wednesday night. So that was pretty fancy pants.
Yeah. On a school night. So yeah, my poison of choice is a Japanese whiskey. So we were lucky to, when we could travel around the world, we were lucky to go to Japan last year and brought back some beautiful Japanese whiskey. So don't get a chance too often to tuck into a couple. So this is a good excuse, actually.
Yeah, well, I have never tasted a Japanese whiskey, so I look forward to the time when I can share that with you, Aaron.
Absolutely.
So, Aaron, I'd love you to start off by telling us, who you are and what you're doing, and what's the positivity that you are sprinkling around our world right now.
Thanks very much. Yeah, a bit of background. My name's Aaron Christie-David. I run a mortgage broking business called Atelier Wealth with my wife, Bernadette. Look, in a nutshell, we're helping a lot of families around the country, tackle this time from a financial perspective, right? So if we put into the current time that we're in, some people are doing exceptionally well, like maybe their businesses aren't impacted. Some people are somewhat impacted, and then there's people on the other end who are severely impacted. I guess it's those latter two that we're doing a lot of work with. And I think for us, everyone's handling it very differently. And I think money is probably the centerpiece for a lot of people's mindset at the moment, how they're seeing the world through that lens. And I guess we're coming in as a voice of reason to go, look, here's what you can do. Here's what your options are at a time when people may be confused or a little bit overwhelmed with the information that's going on at the moment.
Yeah, and we're going to dive deep into that, which I'm really looking forward to. But before we do that, I mean, I'd love to know, just in regards to your life, what was there a turning point? Was there a pinnacle moment that you thought, right, this is really what I want to be doing for my career? Was there that for you?
Yeah, it definitely was. I think for us, Bernadette, so Bernadette and I, we run our business together, my wife, Bernadette. So for us, that turning point came when we were sitting on crates in Vietnam. So we were on our honeymoon. We were both in, what you consider fairly good corporate careers. A couple of years out of uni for us. And we were at the crossroads, like, do we go over to New York? And I was looking to maybe study, do my MBA over there, come back with a huge student debt, for example. And that was that dream that we had in our minds, was to go and travel and live in New York. And we sat there literally over a couple of beers in Vietnam. We're like, what are we doing? Like, we're going to end up over there with a lot of debt. We won't get to enjoy the city. We'll pretty much be working casual jobs to make ends meet. And then we'll come back and be on the back foot potentially as well. Mm. And that's when my background has been in financial services marketing. And Bernadette was like, well, mortgage brokers, why don't you become a mortgage broker? And it was like an off the cuff comment perhaps. And then we got back from our honeymoon, and 5 weeks later, Bernie was like, you haven't done anything, what's going on? And literally the next day I found a mortgage broking business for sale. I quit my job and I started. So you kind of took, there was no game plan. Pretty much.
Oh, wow.
Was, no savings, no game plan. And just kind of hit the ground running. And that's been nearly 5 years ago since that happened. So definitely that pivotal moment for us there, Heidi.
And I mean, I'm a bit surprised, because I know how successful your company is. You and Bernadette have just built this incredible operation, organisation. You've won multitudes of awards within your industry and nationally. So that's really remarkable. You've done all that within 5 years from a small conversation and a fantastic woman who gave you that nudge of confidence.
I managed to set just the chess move, that kind of triggered it.
Yeah.
Sometimes I need a gun to my head to work. Bernadette needs a game plan. Bernadette needs a solid business plan. And maybe that's where opposites attract a little bit, like a bit of yin yang action going on. For us, I can just kind of see the vision and execute, and Bernie's, really good with the details. So for us, we kind of make a quite a good combination. Yeah. Sometimes they say business and family, but for us, it works. So we've broken the rule, but it does work for us.
Yeah, well, it does for many as well. Just as many as it doesn't work for, it does work for. So congratulations on being able to make it work. And I would imagine you would have to work at making it work, really.
Oh, completely. There's I want to come home and still talk shop. Bernie wants to switch off, and she's got this magic ability to switch off at home, which is kind of nice. I'd take a leaf out of her book and follow suit, but otherwise I'd just be yakking nonstop about it. And I think you need someone that can kind of give you that off button to be able to be better at what you do potentially as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's talk about the current situation, Aaron. We've got in Australia, there are about 1.3 million people on Job Seeker. Yeah. There's about 3 million on Job Keeper. The economy has never been the way it is, and the ripple effect for the weeks, months, and probably years to come will be something that perhaps none of us can even foresee right now. Yeah. So when we have this much uncertainty going on in our economy, what is it that we can do as individuals to try and be a little more financially resilient during all this uncertainty and stress?
Yeah, it's a really broad, because everyone's situation is so different, right? So
yeah.
A little asterisk here, it's not financial advice, but everyone's I guess there's some really quick wins that we can start to look at. One is deleveraging. So when I talk about deleveraging as a very easy way to understand it, it's what can you lose in your budget that will free up some cash flow.
Right.
And so for us, if there's credit cards with expensive debt, how do we find a way to pay them off, for example, to set you free out of the credit card trap? Another one is there a game plan around savings, right? Because if you've got some cash savings in the bank, that potentially gives you that sleep at night number and how much you need to go to bed knowing that there's enough money in the bank account for maybe the next few months. And that's very easy for me to say when I'm on Job Keeper or Job Seeker, for example. But I think it's almost highlighted the fact to a lot of families is if we lived paycheck to paycheck, it's unfortunate, it's going to find us out. And I think that's, if you look at the numbers around, if you look at the credit card debt and how much we have nationally, and then you look at how many Australians don't have savings in the bank of over $1,000, it's probably a stark reminder for us to go, okay, maybe the old method of bite off more than you can chew when it came to debt and then pay it back, maybe that's not going to work moving forward. And I really credit someone like a Scott Payne, Barefoot Investor, that has some really good money methodologies, and it's a really easy way to understand for a lot of Australian families to go, hey, look, how much have we got in our savings account? How much we've got for spending money, enjoying money, or when things hit the fan money.
Yeah.
And knowing that kind of number, knowing your numbers, to me is where people get that financial confidence from as well. Because how many people actually know what they earn gross and then what they actually earn net? Yeah. What's the budget like? What are the fixed expenses? What are the non-variable type of expenses as well? And being able to articulate that and have a really good handle on your money. I think a lot of people just go, oh, I'm not really good at my budget, or I'm not really good at finances. And that, to me, if you're not good with your money, someone else will be good with your money and will take it off you. And we're trying to get people confident and comfortable in their own skin when it comes to budgeting.
Yeah. And just for anybody listening right now, or even later, because we will pop back on and have a look at the comments. If you do have any questions, and of course, Aaron's not here to give legal financial advice right now, but if you'd like him just to start talking about something particular that you're wanting to know, please let us know so we can shift our conversation to accommodate that. Aaron, like when you're talking about that, I mean, certainly, I'm in a household where the two business owners, myself and my husband, we have businesses. Both have been impacted in extremely different ways. We're actually at both ends of the spectrum. My husband has been deemed an essential service in this country. He's always an essential service to me. I just want to say out loud. But apparently he's now an essential service. So he's doing extremely well. And then, of course, for someone like myself, I'm a speaker. I go into workplaces. I do training. That has been completely deleted from my life. So you've got all these... you said it yourself, but such a wide spectrum of people dealing with their financial circumstances.
Yeah.
So, and I hear what you've said, like that first one about knowing your numbers and knowing what you can just take away. And I think probably everyone would agree that this period of time has really made us look at what we've needed, whether it has just been financially, emotionally, physically, throughout this period. We've really been able to take away lots of the fluff and get back down to just what we need right now. And finances are it's nearly like the foundation of that, isn't it?
Oh, very much so. Yeah, you don't ever wish this upon anyone in the world, but maybe it's a bit of a reality check that we do need. And I think for us, a lot of us have lived through, economic prosperity, right? Some really good times that we always see these kind of times in history where things will kind of pause, reset, and then that's how we bounce back from it financially. That will either make or break a lot of families as well. And it's and everyone's going to deal with it in their own way. It's a journey that we're all on, right? And I think for some people, like you're saying, like Ken, his business is doing very well. You're lucky that you're in the household where he gets that real reality check to go, well, his bubble isn't necessarily the reality of Australians.
Of everybody else. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that brings me to this next question, because when we're talking about financial resilience and the impact that actually has on our resilience as a whole, when I'm talking, I talk about physical, mental, social resilience.
Yeah.
But our financial resilience, our financial circumstances actually impact all of that. And I know you on LinkedIn, I saw today you spoke about the state of wallet equals your state of mind. And I love that so much. And I'd love you to talk to that expression and what that means.
Yeah, just kind of came up in a conversation one day with a client. I was like, talk me through like your wallet. And then we just made this connection, this mind, money, type of mindset connection. And when things are great, when you got money in the bank, when you got savings in the bank, when you're on top financially, you're in a much better place. There's a spring you see the world through a different lens. Things are great. And then when a bill comes and sideswipes you, or whatever it is, bill shock, car shock, whatever it's going to come up, and suddenly you're depleted of your savings, you almost feel like you see the world through like black and white, and it's not. And what we're now trying to get to is people to go, okay, yep, if you've been to that place, that dark place, and I think we've all been there, never again. Like, if it means this is the situation where it's that reality check, go never again, like bottle that feeling and now go, just make sure that moving forward, we're going to learn from it, and it could be an expensive mistake to make. And I think the other point that we're learning through this is, often we've like put property up as a pedestal, as an asset. To me, it doesn't matter how many properties you have, your health is probably your greatest asset, not wealth. And I think that's one thing. That doesn't matter how much money you've got. If you've got COVID and you can't buy your way out of it. And so now what I'm seeing is this sentiment to go, where people have been at home, they're maybe appreciating their home, their castle, their family, their health, and maybe it's just helped to realign some of our priorities in life. Opposed to, hey mate, let's be on the rat race, let's try and build this mega property portfolio, whatever it is for some people. And sometimes isn't the ticket to freedom or happiness.
No, it certainly isn't. And I think we've all had a reality check, as you've said, with the last couple of months on that. I mean, nothing is more important than our health. There is no doubt about that. But there is no denying that our financial circumstances can impact our mental health. So that's really worth acknowledging. And, with that in mind, there's lots of chitter chatter about property prices plummeting because of what's gone on. I mean, what are your thoughts for people who are thinking about buying property at the moment, when perhaps, there is all this uncertainty, but there's also apparently all this opportunity because property's going to plummet. So what should we do? I'll go to the facts of it and go, right, we know the fact is there's probably about 46% less properties listed online. So if the property prices are staying a little bit buoyant, it's because we're not seeing an oversupply onto the market, which then maybe causes prices to fall. So that's one way of looking at it. If I have a property, would I want to list it in this current climate? Probably not. So I think people are maybe being forced to sell. Maybe they're moving, maybe it's work situations, maybe it's family situations. There's a general attrition that happens generally in the property market as well. Straight up, my 2 cents worth is, I don't think anyone can predict where property prices are going to go. There could be enough data, but I think if you look back at some of the key markers that people are talking about, it's Black Monday, it's the 90s recession, it's the GFC. You look at all those markers, but never has it been kind of health, global, like intertwined. It's been a lot of economic resetting. People still need a roof over their head. I get it, but we can't accurately predict where property prices are going to go at this stage. Is my sentiment when a lot of people ask me. So the way I look at it is, you've got two types of buyers. One is a homeowner, so someone wants to buy their own home, or an investor. I can understand why investors don't want to be in the market, because their greatest fear is potentially their price, going backwards on an investment property. So if you feel that way, we're telling people step out of the market until you feel more confident to come back in. If you're looking to buy your own home, the way I look at it is, if your rent plus whatever you're saving is going to equal your future mortgage repayment, you and I, we can't control property prices, but if you can come in there, smash your loan off as fast as possible, that's a good outcome. And if you buy a property that's maybe under market value, or a home that you've been looking for that has now come onto the market, good times, bad times, you always want to buy that property anyway. Right now, rates are so low, this could be an opportune time to get into the market. And that's where you look at something like the first home, the government's initiative around the first home owners deposit scheme. All 10,000 spots have been exhausted. So quite clearly there is a demand from first home buyers into the market at a certain price point as well. And while you're talking, it just reminds, we all can sit and read what we're reading and think, this is the perfect time to buy because it's going to be plummeting. But the fact is, I was only talking to someone on a podcast yesterday that, they say it takes 10,000 hours for us to be a master of anything. And you know, Joe Blow public like me has done nowhere near 10,000 hours of work on what property prices are going to be and whether this mortgage is the best one for me. But of course, that's where a mortgage broker is so perfect, that, you know, you're immersed in that whole industry. That's all you're thinking about, reading about, talking about. And I would imagine, really, I'm just, you know, I'm saying it out loud, that if any of us are thinking about this type of thing, we should be going to our mortgage broker and talking to them about the situation and asking questions, right? You know, we should be asking questions of all our mortgage brokers that we've had, because things are so different right now. Is that right?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the first thing that kind of pings up for people is, what's the sales agenda here? Right? It's a fair question with anyone that you meet. So whether it's a real estate agent, whether it's a buyer's agent, whoever it is, you're going, what's your sales agenda? And for me, our only agenda is helping people make better property choices. So whether you choose to buy or not, no skin of our nose, with all due respect. But if you make a better or a wise property decision, then you're going to come back and you're going to have that confidence to buy that next property, for example. Whereas people that make bad decisions don't ever want to buy property again, if that makes sense. So
yeah, of course,
no winners there really. But
no.
I think it goes back to confirmation bias, doesn't it? I think what you were touching on before is like, what you'll find, you'll seek out information that kind of suits maybe what your opinion is or what you're looking for. So if you're looking for prices to go down, you'll search out articles that kind of show that prices are going down. Whereas you go, the market's good and potentially there could be some opportunities, you kind of flip it around on its head and you're looking for the opportunity in the market perhaps as well.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, you're so right there. So Aaron, tell me, I know you have got an amazing program called Home Loans for the Homeless. I mean, oh my gosh, I'm not even going to put words to it. I really would love you to tell us what that all is about. How did it start? What are you doing with it? What's the impact?
Yeah, thanks very much. Yeah, I might tear up. I don't know. Like for me, this is, you asked where it started. Yeah, we came home. Our daughter, Sienna, is nearly 20 months, right? And I think it was one day we were going through a cupboard and there were clothes that she had never even worn, like brand new with tags. She'd outgrown them. And I said to Bernie, I said, mate, this child, like we don't live in complete privilege, but when you put it into a global perspective, we absolutely do live in complete privilege. Sienna will never go without food, will never go without clothes. You know, every time we bathe her, we say thank you to the water because it's clean, hot water. How many people don't have that privilege, right? Clean nappies every time, access to medical. I said, we can try to do something on our own, and that's great, and it's private. But I said, I actually want to try and find a way to integrate our business to do the same. So whatever we do in our own private life, that stays there. But also we want to find a way to engage with our own clients, our own business partners, for example, referral partners, and as an industry, and say, hey, look, how do we play a bigger game? And for our team, it's just kind of like started internally where we looked on, there's a platform called B1G1. We said, look, let's just throw around a few ideas. And so it took some time to kind of percolate in our team as well. And it's kind of like, I don't know, just having a chat one day, I was like, why don't we look something about the homeless? And then it kind of had a really good synergy to Home Loans for the Homeless. And that became, I guess, the creative side of it. The mechanics side of it is, for every home loan that we organise, we give 30 nights of shelter to an underprivileged family that's in India. For no real reason, but that's who the B1G1 platform kind of serves, and Habitat for Humanities who it goes to. So that's why we looked at it. And then I guess we got some feedback from people, and it all was really positive feedback. It was like, well, that's on a global scale. What are you doing in your own backyard as well? Which is kind of a challenging question. And then we're like, right, okay, so what can we do locally? And we linked up with, we're down on the South Coast, we linked up with the Wollongong Homeless Hub, and we do the 1% pledge. So we donate 1% of our time, for example, and our team offshore have the ability to do 1% of their time. So it's just, when you think about it, it's one day off every 6 months. So really it's not a big team expense or hours expense, but it goes towards something that they're really passionate about, that they want to do. So some of our team love animal rescue. I'm like, great, go do that, for example. And that way you can pursue something that you do. And then as a team, we've got our Home Loans for the home loans for the homeless initiative. And now that just gives us something to speak about to our clients, going, hey, look, with all due respect, you bought a $2 million property sometimes, or whatever it is. Maybe we'll skip the settlement gift, which is a nice bottle of wine, and how about we pay that forward to someone that really needs it, for example. And
fantastic.
When you tell it that way, and it's never the reason that people will do business with it, because it always gets mentioned after the fact, and it goes, hey mate, look, how do we find a way to pay this forward? You know, your family will be in this beautiful home, your kids will sleep in this beautiful house, go to fantastic schools, you drive great cars. There's people out there that are far less fortunate, and it kind of stems. And so I guess when Sienna gets older, I'm like, I want her to look back and go, like, her birth triggered something beautiful.
Yeah.
As well. Oh,
I love that. So what are you up to now in India? How many nights of shelter have you?
Yeah, it's amazing. This week, it kind of just sits in the, like, we measure numbers, and this week I'm like, hey guys, what are we up to? It's like 4,000 nights, and we launched this.
Wow.
And I didn't think we'd be there this quickly. And seeing the number, I'm like, we're nearly halfway, and it hasn't been 6 months. And that in itself is like, do we set the bar too low? I'm like,
yeah, right.
Right. I'm like, oh, great. And then we hit 10,000. I'm like, all right, guys, let's have a think about, do we 10x that number? Do we find another project or another initiative? I don't want to bring the mood down, but I'm not sure you read that story today about the 4-year-old girl in Brisbane killed at the hands of her father. I'm like, I came home tonight and Bean, I think we cried, both of us. And there's some sad stuff that really happens, you know.
Yeah.
You hug your kids, you hug your pets, your fur babies, whatever it is, and you go, mate, this country where we live is complete and utter privilege, and we're helping facilitate people to buy beautiful homes. Some people don't have roofs over their heads.
Yeah, we have certainly won the human lottery here, haven't we?
Yeah. Oh,
no doubt.
Completely. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I congratulate you. I mean, I just love the fact that, it's not about like, what can I get from my life and my job and my career and everything that I do, my clients. It is about paying it forward. And if everybody did that little bit, 1%, as you talked about with the other project, you've got, it's so nothing, but what an impact it can make. This is the thing, and we should all be doing something to make that impact. And we would have been a much better world, of course, because of that. So thank you from everybody.
No, not at all. I mean, I look at what you guys have done with your animal rescues. That's amazing. It's touching when you change an animal's life. Like that's no small feat as well, right? So I think each of us will find our own jam. And when people just go, oh, like, how does it start? I'm like, you'll find that fire, like you'll find something that connects you to the right cause. Don't try to kind of be a square peg in a round hole with whatever you're doing. It'll happen naturally.
Yeah.
But just keep an open mind to how you can help.
And it's so true. I mean, you've got to find what's right for you. I mean, education is my, I feel like I've had education in my DNA, and I am also attached with the B1G1, and I have different education projects for different things going on. Every time I sell a book, I give a day's worth of reading materials to girls in Cambodia. I think we're up to 925 days of that. And we're actually about to implement something with these wine and wisdom shows. I was hoping it would be ready because I knew that you would be right into it tonight, Aaron, but it's not quite ready. So it'll be ready for next time. So I'll tell you all about it then. But Natalie, I've got 2 more questions for you. The first one is, I know as a business owner right now, and I know you've said that you're in a position where you're being able to serve a lot of people who are struggling, whether that's because they're doing either really well and looking for opportunities, or they have had mortgages through you and are struggling, and you're probably taking on a lot of people's stress, I would imagine, with that. But you've got a young daughter, you're a family, you're a business owner. Like, what are you doing to keep your resilience bucket full? That's what I'd love to know. What are the things that you do to be able to refuel and stay optimistic and creative and productive in your day?
Yeah, I think at the start it was quite like everyone. I think it was quite heavy. So the conversations we were having were quite heavy because the people that reached out were probably the most impacted. So it was a little bit hard. And then I guess when you come home to a 20-month-old and she just wants to hug and play, That to me is like the ultimate reset when you get home and you go, this is what matters. Sienna doesn't matter if it's a good day at the office, a bad day at the office, a challenging day. She just wants to play. And I guess having her in my life, if I didn't, I'd probably just be working like a donkey, like just because there wasn't much to do. But yes, I think for us, coming home, being present with her, like everyone talks about it, and now I'm like, it sinks in when I come home that I feel like when I used to come home, family got the parts of me, like the latter part of me, it wasn't the best. And now I come home and I go, right, the phone can wait for a little bit. I want to come home. I want to chill out. I want to play. We play like small children. Like I'm a dinosaur 1 minute. I'm racing a car the next.
And then a mortgage broker the next.
I go to the park, and kids are great like that. Even animals and pets are great like that, where they just want all your attention. It's like almost beautifully selfish, where they go, I want all your attention.
Yeah.
And you can't be like half here, half there. They want all of you.
Yeah.
But for me, having Sienna around, that's beautiful for us. So that's how I mind. Traditionally, it would have been go to the gym, for example. So that's probably something that has fallen off a little bit. I'm not. I need a class. I need someone there to kind of push me. So that's dropped off a little bit as well. And I think the other part is just being okay with it. Like normally I would have beat myself up about it and like, no, it's all right. You know, like the gym will be there. It'll reopen. Yeah. I'll turn up. I'll support them. But for the time being, my energy is going in helping our customers and new customers on getting them through this time. Yeah. And then when I've got more time, life will reset and I'll find a way to personally get back into the gym. But yeah, for me, to answer your question, the whole resilience side and personal gratitude side comes from like coming home to a little human.
Yeah, and because she brings you joy, and bringing joy, having joy in your life is one of the, a big component of keeping your resilience to a good level. So no doubt she does that.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, Aaron, final question. And to me, it is the most important one. Okay. I'd love to know what the most impactful piece of wisdom that you have been told, handed down to you in your lifetime, and who was it from, and why was it so important to you?
Yeah, I think mothers play such an important role, right? And so for me, my dad spoke with his work. So my dad was a very hard worker, and then my mum was kind of like a very deep thinker. So for her, it was like do something and do it well, and the other part is do it with integrity. So I think for us, we've always grown up. I've got 2 other brothers, for example, and I think raising boys is probably a real challenge. Mischief as young men. But mum was like, if you're going to do something, do it to the best of your ability and then do it with integrity. So I think for us, I've kind of carried that with me, just going, especially what we do in dealing with people's money and finances. I mean, you act with the most integrity. So it doesn't matter what your niche or what your work is. If you're playing with a straight bat, I think the results will come to you, right? And don't take shortcuts. That's my wisdom that I've been handed down, and hope I'm living by it.
Wonderful. Yeah, mums can be pretty amazing.
Absolutely, right? Absolutely.
Yeah, they can. Well, Aaron, thank you so much for being on tonight. For everyone who's listening, either right now or afterwards, which is the normal case, I'm going to put Aaron's contact details in the comments below. So please reach out to him if you have any questions. I'm sure, Aaron, you'd be happy to just have any kind of conversation with anyone about what they're doing in regards to mortgages, home loans, purchasing property, that type of thing. He's a very generous soul, as you have seen tonight. So please reach out to him for a conversation about what your challenges or opportunities are, and he will certainly appease your questions, no doubt. But thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us for a little wine. When we cheers, Aaron, we go the opposite way. That it feels like it's kind of there we go. It's kind of weird, yeah. But cheers to everybody. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday night. I look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. Any questions you have after we hang up, or whatever you say, I don't know what you say. what do I do? I don't hang up. I'm not on the phone.
Go offline, is it? Would it?
Go offline, whatever that is. Please put them there, and we'll continue to go back and answer those questions. So good night, everybody. Have a lovely evening.
Thank you.